Hi, thank you so much for watching. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make essentials care packages. If you're like me, you live in a city where there is a large homeless population. These people will sometimes live in tent cities or will usually just wander the street kind of looking for shelter as they go. Whenever I am out in public or when I'm running errands around town, I will always see somebody standing on the side of the road holding a sign saying, "Please donate, anything helps," because they have come upon a time in their life of misfortune. I always feel for these people. I have experienced homelessness myself, so I understand the hardships that these people go through. I was very lucky and I was able to move past that, and I now feel very, very blessed to live in a home, to be able to have a job to afford where I live. A lot of these people are not as lucky as I am. I always want to give to others, even if I don't have a lot to give. I tried to make these care packages as cheap as possible because I personally don't have a large budget to be going out and buying a bunch of essentials to be giving away. So a lot of these things I got from the dollar store or from Walmart or other department stores. You can find these things for very, very cheap. The most important thing, especially right now, is sanitization. So I have my little sanitizer bottle here, my little spritz bottle, and I sanitize my surface, the objects I use, as well as my hands before I start making the baggies. Obviously, I'm not sick or I wouldn't be making the baggies and giving them out to people, but I always like to take extra steps just to be careful so that I am not endangering people who are already at a disadvantage. The first thing you need for these baggies are bags, of course. So I have been using plastic bags for these. I usually would like to use a more eco-friendly swap for plastic baggies, but right now, like I said, I think sanitization is really, really important, and it's a lot easier to sanitize plastic. Right now I'm using the plastic baggies, and I wrote on all of them, "I have been sanitized," just to make anybody I give the baggies to feel a little safer. So the first thing that I put into the baggies are these white socks. I got them from the dollar store. They were 3 for $1 in a package. You can also find these at department stores like Walmart. They might sell like 6 in a package for maybe $3 or $4. That's a really good way to get a lot of them if you want to make a lot of the baggies. And they're just some plain white socks. It gets really, really cold when I live, so I think having an extra layer of clothing might be good for somebody who doesn't have access to shelter or who might be sleeping in a tent over the night, because it just gets so, so cold over the night. I really, really feel sad for these people because I could not even imagine not being in my warm house at night, and these people are subject to the conditions of where we live right now throughout the whole night. So that kind of segues into the next item that I put into the baggies, which is hand warmers. I think these are just helpful just because, like I said, it is very, very cold where I live right now all day and especially all night. So any warmth that you can get to stave off the bite from the cold might be helpful. Don't make the same mistake I did when you are putting these into the baggies, because the first time I made a round of these baggies, I cut open all of the hand warmers, which activates the heat in them, and so they kind of just all got wasted because they only last for 10 hours. So just make sure you keep them in the little plastic baggie that they're in before you put them into the baggies. The next thing that I put into these baggies is little soaps. I got these from the dollar store. Some of them are just plain body wash and some of them are 3-in-1 body wash, shampoo, and conditioner. I think these are just a really nice thing to have if you go somewhere to a public bathroom maybe and they don't have soap, or you're going to a public shower and they don't have soap. I think hygiene, especially right now, is just really important, so put that into the baggies. The next thing that I put into the baggies are masks. Again, really important right now. I have been using these paper masks because buying a bunch of fabric masks just isn't in my budget, but if you do have the money to, I would highly suggest going with a fabric mask for each bag, because then the person who receives it can use that mask multiple times instead of just having to use it once and throw it away. I would also suggest, if you do not have access to a mask, businesses will give them away. They'll be the paper ones most likely. A lot of businesses have them in stock just to give away to customers. So if you go up to a business, you can't really go inside, but if an associate comes out, you could ask them to bring you a mask, and you can maybe even ask them for a few if they're nice. Really important right now, just to be able to protect yourself. So the next thing that I put into these baggies is pads, and I think these are really important if you have a period. Also, if you do not have a period, they could be really useful. You could always give them away to somebody who you find who does need them, or you could use them for some sort of first aid. The next thing that I like to put into the baggies is these little travel size deodorants. I know if you are out on the streets and you don't have access to shelter, the last thing on your mind is going to be how you smell, but I know that for a lot of people, it's really important to keep up on personal hygiene. I keep saying this, I feel like a broken record, but especially right now, it is imperative that we are taking care of ourselves. I also got these from the dollar store. They just had a section with all of their travel size stuff, which is where I also found this next item, which is these little travel size toothpaste and toothbrush. Again, hygiene, really important just to keep yourself clean. And if you don't have access to consistent personal hygiene, I think having these little essentials is really, really important. The last thing I like to put into the baggies is some snacks. Now I chose these cheese and peanut butter crackers because peanut butter will just help you feel full for a little bit longer than other foods. I also put in just some Nature Valley bars, some granola bars I got from the dollar store, just little things so that if somebody doesn't have consistent access to food, maybe that little snack will be able to hold them off until they can get some food. So yeah, that is my care packages that I like to hand out. When I first made these, I made 5 and I gave all of them out within the first 5 days that I had made them, just from driving around, seeing people on the side of the road, obviously wearing a mask, social distancing, and going up and giving them the baggies when they have signs and are asking for donations. The response that I've gotten has been 100% positive. People seem to actually be really grateful for these, which at first I was afraid because I've heard a lot of stories where people will reject things because they are not just giving them money. That's probably just a few cases, definitely not the overall experience that I've had. Me and my mom used to, when we would see people just on the side of the road or sitting in like a grocery store parking lot who looked like they were homeless or maybe had been on the streets for a couple of days, we would go and just get them like some McDonald's or something to give to these people. I think that's also a really good way to support somebody who does not have access to shelter, is to try and maybe supply them with some food, because if they don't have access to consistent shelter, there is a big chance that they also don't have consistent access to food. So that is another good tip if you don't want to do baggies or something like that. Maybe giving food, maybe food gift cards if you really want to go the extra mile, maybe just like some $10 gift cards to grocery stores in your area so that these people can go in and pick foods that will be good for them. You can also put those in the baggies if you want, if you're feeling rich and want to just give away money to people. I wish I could do that really, but I just do not have the budget to do that. So I try and do the best that I can and do these little care packages. If you watched to the end, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you checking out my content. If you liked it, maybe consider liking and subscribing and maybe hitting the bell to see my future content. I post every Wednesday and Saturday. So thanks again. Bye.